Welcome back to the Ed Show. 6 months into the job, and President Obama has passed 12 bills since taking office. A few highlights: the Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, which he signed into law just 9 days after he took office, and reauthorizing the S-chip bill, Children's Health Insurance Act. The stimulus package was passed. The Small Business Act was passed. Also, the Helping Families Save Their Homes Act, and, of course, the credit card bill. Let's bring back our panel tonight and see how they score the president's first 6 months. Bill Press, Jack Rice, Tim Griffith. Jack, what do you think? How has the president done in his first 6 months?
Well, actually, I'm very pleased. I think he's done a lot in the 6 months. I mean, the real problem that we have is you compare the challenges that he faces versus where he is right now. It took President Bush 8 years to just about destroy the country. So for him to actually dig out of that hole is a very, very difficult thing to do. One thing that you didn't even mention, which I think is huge, was the speech that he gave in Cairo. This is on an international basis. This is a guy who finally came out into the world and said, guess what? We actually don't hate you. We actually really are interested in having a relationship and having an understanding where we can benefit one another. And that was fundamental to what we're doing on an international basis, and something that President Bush really, really did so incredibly poorly. And the fact that this president understands that really pleases me.
Well, you know, Bill Press, all of the things that have passed, I think, have been good and what Democrats have wanted. But if the president doesn't get it done on health care, it seems like nothing else matters at this point.
No, I think you're right, Ed. But look, I got to say, and agree with Jack, I don't think any president in our lifetime has done so much, so fast, so well as Barack Obama has. I mean, he has already changed the direction of this, of the image of this country around the world for the better, and he's changed the direction of this country at home for the better. But you know, you're right. It all comes down to, I think, he'll be judged for this first year, maybe for 8 years, how well he does on health care. That's why he's got to do it right now, full time, and take charge.
Tim, why do I think you're going to have a different answer on that one?
Well, I'm actually going to agree with all of you on one thing, and that is he promised change, and we got change.
For the better, Tim.
I don't think there's any doubt about the change. But one of the things that's instructive for me is you talk about the great challenge that he inherited. Look, we have a huge challenge with the economy, with people losing their jobs and businesses closing. But if you go back and look at 1981, when Reagan became president, he was facing a similar problem. He had a completely different approach, and that approach was to cut taxes and downsize government to stimulate the economy. So, you know, in terms of getting stuff passed, absolutely, President Obama has done it. Do I agree with the substance? Absolutely not.
Jack, what does the president have to do to get this health care bill through quickly? I mean, if you had to pick one thing that President Obama's got to do, what would it be?
He needs to pull the Democrats together. He needs to stop trying to reach across the aisle to the Republicans who clearly simply want to see him fail. What he needs to do is he needs to marshal the American people who will then drive the Democrats to do what is necessary. Look, we have seen what's been going on with Demint. We've seen what's been going on with steel. Heck, we could look at Rush and some apparent drug-induced haze down in Florida. What we need is Baucus and everybody else on the left pushing hard to get this done.
What about it, Bill?
Hey, forget the Republicans, get the Democrats in line and tell them you're not going home until you get it done, period.
I hear you. Gentlemen, great to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much. Bill Press, Tim Griffith, and also Jack Rice with us here on The Ed Show. Earlier in the show, I asked for your opinion. Should lawmakers leave town if they haven't passed a health care bill? 4,500 of you have responded. That's our most ever in any question we put out. 21% of you said yes. 79% said you agree with me that they should stay in town until they get health care done. It's not an election year. They don't have to go home and raise money. We just came out of the most publicized election in the history of the country. Nothing's really changed much when it comes to health care. In fact, it's gotten worse. It would seem to me that the president could take the real leadership role by calling up the Democratic leadership and saying, you know what? I think we're going to miss that fishing trip in August, and we're all going to stick around and get health care done for the American people.